2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
You're darn right, it's the Voice of Reason. Welcome into the program. It is a Friday celebration. I almost got tongue twisted right off the bat. That's the way to start a show. Welcome into the program. It is a Friday. It is a Friday celebration. Your Free for All Friday right here on the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We have a heck of a show lined up for you today. I know it's a Friday and you kind of want to get all loosey-goosey and just let loose, but there's so much going on. Big stuff, too. Good stuff as well, so we'll get to all of it here. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Alex Newman. He is the CEO of Liberty Sentinel Media. He's also the senior editor for the New American. He'll be joining us on the show to give us the latest on the investigations when it comes to election fraud across the nation. We had the Georgia hearings yesterday. We played some of the clips from that with Rudy Giuliani going nuts yesterday, going on some of the fraud. In fact, now we have two states that have joined into the audit, external, independent, third-party audits that are going on in their states for some of the Dominion systems and some of the ballots that just look a little shady. So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit as well, because it is a fast-moving piece. And now that we're down to the last week or so before the Electoral College decides to be cast and vote, before the Supreme Court needs to kind of make their decisions, the Trump team, the legal team, better start making some decisions. So we'll talk about that throughout the show. I'm going to get your thoughts as we are broadcasting live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, also on Parler.com, also on Minds.com as well. All of them you can find with the social media tag at Hooser Reason. That's HOOSER Reason. You can also find us on the website at HooserReason.com. But to talk about all this and a heck of a lot more, I am so excited to have her back on the program. It's been way too long since we've chatted with this next guest. She is the author of the book, Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, Being Black and Conservative in America. I'm so excited to have back on the program with us today, Kathy Barnette. Kathy, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well, Andy. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's so good to talk to you again. It's been way too long, and it's funny, we were talking off the air a little bit. It's a Friday. We're kind of exhausted. We are 3 weeks after the election. We still don't have an answer yet. I don't know how long we can keep this going.
This is crazy. Is it 3 weeks or 5 weeks? It's just like it's just going on and on and on. And, and I remember being on, some of the mainstream media outlets, and I warned them about what was about to happen as I began to see in my own state, Pennsylvania Supreme Court, extending the number of days beyond November 3rd to 3 more days. Signatures don't have to match. Post date doesn't have to be clear. And I began to warn people then, we're about to look like Afghanistan after an election, with the Democratic Party looking very much like the Taliban.
You're right. It's very strange to see how the Democrats are acting here. And what I find strange with this election specifically, not only the Dominion systems that we've been talking about, or the dead people voting, or the people voting from out of state, or the mail-in ballots that seem very strange, or the mail-in ballots that were counted the same day that they were mailed out, sort of thing. I mean, outside of all of that, which is already crazy on its own, I guess welcome to 2020. But now we have Joe Biden creating all of a sudden just an office for the president-elect that never existed before. We have Kamala Harris, who supposedly, according to her and the mainstream media, she's the vice president-elect, but yet she is yet to resign from her Senate seat as well. So they're pretending that they're the winners here, but yet they still haven't even started the motions to begin that transition, have they?
And that is really their strategy. Their strategy is a very simple one. It is to create the illusion of inevitability. Oh, I can't even say the word. Inevitability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
It's inevitable. I can't even get it out. But that's the illusion that they're trying to create. That is what they are banking on that will carry them into the White House. They believe the American people, in addition to our judges and legislators, do not have the stomach to unring that bell, to do what is necessary to bring fairness and justice. I think it's very obvious that there are enough irregularities, enough Americans who are coming forward, putting forth affidavits, which is proof and evidence, and you just cannot, flick them off. You can't just push them to the side and pretend they don't exist. It's 74 million Americans, if you don't count the ones on USB drives that never got counted. It's 74 plus million Americans who are saying, wait a minute, something is awry here. So it's too many of us. And so they are truly banking on the fact that no one has the stomach to unring this bell. And so their best chance is to create this illusion that this is inevitable. You just might as well deal with it, suck it up, do what you need to do, right? So that's their strategy.
It is. That's their strategy. They don't think any. I guess they're just used to it. I mean, they've been politicians, the establishment, the deep state, whatever you want to call them, for so many years. They don't understand when people actually try to push an agenda, or actually try and push to get something done, or actually have the backbone to stand up to say, wait a second, this is wrong, and we caught you, and we're not going to let it stand. They're not used to that. They're used to just people going with the flow and just, all right, well, it stinks, or, oh, that's just the way the system goes. And they just move along from it. They're not really used to people like Donald Trump and like us Trumpers, I guess you could say, saying, wait a second, this isn't quite right. I mean, you come from the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, a huge spotlight on you guys right now in the state with that one. I mean, what are you hearing on the streets? Do you think that they're actually going to take a look at some of these and do audits, or is it just going to go to the wayside in Pennsylvania?
I'm not sure about that, but let me just say, now, I don't know if you recall that I was running for Congress in this election.
Yeah.
I have not conceded my race, so I am still the candidate.
Good.
But we are finding, I mean, I don't even have to look at President Trump's anomalies and irregularities or instances of fraud. I could just look at my own election, and now we're doing deeper and deeper dives. And one of the things that is very obvious to all of us who are looking at, I have several statisticians who are looking at these numbers and helping us to get a good understanding of what happened. What really is blatant is that this did not start in 2020. We are looking at data. I mean, we believe it started in 1996. Go figure. But I'm talking to people in other parts of the nation as well. Arizona has hired a statistician there. And it looks like 1996 for them as well. This has been going on for a while of a lot of irregularities, and it has built up over time to where we find ourselves today. And I think that was one of the things. I mean, it's just it just doesn't cross most Americans' minds, right? Because we're good, we're decent, we just want to work, pay our bills, vote, have our vote counted, and move on with our lives. And I don't think we sit back, kind of daydreaming of all the diabolical ways we can unravel the U.S. Constitution to get our own way in life. And yet there are those who have. We could just look at what happened in Georgia, the video that came out yesterday. Most people are still having somewhat of a hard time and grappling with, fellow Americans being so brazen to do what they did. You have some who are trying to pretend there's nothing to see there. But, again, I don't think most Americans, are prepared for what is going to be required of them to have a fair election, recognizing that if we don't get a fair election in this election, there is no next time.
Yes. Thank you. I'm glad you said that because I've been saying the exact same thing. That's why so many people are fighting so hard. I mean, as you mentioned, Donald Trump received 74 million votes and broke any record for any presidential candidate before, meaning he rallied people that have never been politically engaged or active before. If we cannot win this one, I don't see another candidate that can rally someone or rally enough people to be able to do what he did like this. And if they're able to fraud this election, then we don't have a chance in the future. So this is very concerning to us. As well, all across the nation. We're talking with Kathy Barnette, author of the book Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain. And I'm glad you mentioned your congressional run there in the 4th District for Pennsylvania, because as you mentioned, doing some of the data and the research and the investigation into your district, I mean, the anomalies, do they look like there's enough anomalies as of right now that flipped that race in your district?
I mean, like, for example, let me just give you one, okay? I'm going to throw out some numbers, but I'm going to keep it really simple. So, for example, we have identified a number of you voters. You have males, females, and then you have you voters, unidentified people, right? They don't want to identify their gender. In 2004, that was 1,100 people who voted in 2004. In 2008, Barack Obama, those people jumped to 58,000. And then what we noticed from 2008 and for every presidential year, it increases by a really nice round 10,000, a round number of 10,000. So 2004, it was 1,100. It jumps to 58,000. And then in 2008, and then in 2012, we see 69,000. 2016, we go from 69 to 79. And in 2020, we go to 90, right? And so we're doing a deeper and deeper dive on, because I think that's really strange that you go from 1,100 now to 58,000, and every 4 years they increase by a perfectly round number of 10,000. So it's anomalies like that, and then beginning to do a deeper dive to find out how many of these people are really real people. We've already found, over 3,000 people who weren't supposed to participate in our election, but they did. About a third of them being foreigners who actually voted in this election. Yes, we have what everyone else have. We have several hundred dead people voting, the oldest being 167 years old. So we have those kind of anomalies. But what's really interesting is to get an understanding that this did not happen overnight. Right. This was well coordinated over a period of time, and that's what we're looking at right now, and not just in my county, but across the nation.
Unbelievable. Now, is the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania looking at this? Have they started any type of third-party independent audits, or what are they doing right now?
No, they are not. It is, Democrat. And they just don't care. You said something earlier about, Democrats just being used to people not challenging. But I'm a firm believer that we teach people how to treat us. And so we have taught the Democratic Party that if they just push back on us a little bit, ridicule some of us, marginalize us, make an example out of one or two of us, the rest of us will buckle like fold like a cheap suit, and everyone will just stick their head in the sand and grumble about it. And not just the Democratic Party, but we see that also within the Republican Party. All of a sudden, you have people who are getting really weak-kneed, talking about show me the evidence. And what they, on our side of the aisle, we don't riot, we don't loot, we don't burn down people's private property, we don't drag people's children into the middle of the street and stomp on their head repeatedly until they go unconscious, as we saw the left do during this summer of rage. Instead, we, the more decent people in this country, we are doing what the Constitution affords us the right to do. We are seeking relief through the court, and that takes time. Again, this did not happen in 2020. This has happened over a period of time, and it's extremely sophisticated. But people are working really quickly, figuring out what is happening, and it takes time to put that together, to present it, and to put it before the court. But we now live in a culture where everyone wants instantaneous access to everything, and seem to have no appreciation for the Constitution and how this thing is supposed to actually work.
And they don't like to actually wait and see what's going on and watch and wait for the investigation to take place. I love it. You're one of my favorite guests, Kathy. I love having you on the show. Kathy Barnette, nothing to lose, everything to gain, being black and conservative in America. Find her online, KathyBarnette.com. Kathy, let's do it again real soon here. Good luck with the investigation. Keep up the fight.
Thank you, Andy.
Always a pleasure. Stay right here for the Voice of Reason.
With Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, all over the interweb right here on the Voice of Reason for a Friday, your favorite day of the whole week. I know. Thanks again to Kathy Barnette coming on the program. She is absolutely amazing. I love her to death. She is one of my favorite guests we have on the program. She is a Spitfire, isn't she? The Republican candidate for the 4th District in Pennsylvania, where she is working on voter fraud in her district. And we didn't even get to what we originally got her on the show and booked her for to talk about, but that was wonderful. So we'll get her back on the show again real soon, and good luck with her as she continues her investigation. I don't know how far it's going to go if the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania doesn't actually open up some of the audits and investigations into her district. I don't know what really can be done unless there's just overwhelming evidence that she's trying to work on to present to them where they're forced to do something in the courts. So I don't know what can be done, but good luck to her, and I hope that she is able to pull it off. You can visit her online at kathybarnette.com. Again, kathybarnette.com. She's also author of the book, Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, Being Black and Conservative in America. And we'll get her on the show again. I want to get her on as a regular thing because she's pretty awesome. There's a lot to get to, and we're going to obviously kind of focus on this topic. It seems like that's the main topic to focus on. I know a lot of people are probably getting a little burnt out with the whole election thing. Just, Andy, I'm ready for it to be done. I understand. I get it. So am I. But there's a lot of information. And again, while the media says, oh, there's no evidence and it's all debunked and all these court cases are being dropped by the courts and, oh, you just need to let it go and you just need to move on, they're not hearing the information. And when you hear the information, you're just like, oh, why are we not talking about this? So let's see what's trending today. What do you say?
What's trending today?
So two big pieces of information came out today is after the Georgia hearings yesterday, and we played some of the audio clips from that yesterday. We didn't get to all of them, though. I was kind of upset. There were a couple pieces of information that I thought was really interesting with some of the precinct workers.
My phone that I have an iPhone, or something happens with my Apple computer where I need additional assistance with that. I call up Apple and I say, this is what's happening. And they say, do I have permission to take over your computer? And of course, I give them the permission to do that because I want it fixed. That was the exact same thing. I had to give them permission to take over my poll pad so that they could reprogram it from Adams Park to SSO2 A and B, which is at West Spalding Drive Elementary.
See, that to me seems very strange because while Dominion says that there's no way that they're connected to the internet, there's no way for them to be hacked, there's no way for them to be accessed, that they have 1-800 service lines to call if there's an issue with the actual device and they log into it to fix it. The only way you can log into it is if you have the interweb access. So how can you have access to log into it if there's no internet access and there's no way to be hacked and no way to be accessed in any way, shape, or form, but yet at the same time they have a service tech support team that can log into it remotely from Denver to Georgia? That seems very strange to me. And that's just one of the issues that was going on. Again, the ballots being pulled out of the underneath the desk, which they're saying now is, oh, there's nothing fraudulent about that, and it's all debunked because someone from the Secretary of State office said that it was done in the light of day. They didn't kick anybody out of that precinct while they were watching to actually vote. They actually had take them out of the mail-in envelopes before they actually counted these. They just stuck them there just for holding until they were ready to count them. So that's where they were storing them. There's nothing fishy. Don't look, nothing to see here. But because of this now, according to lifenews.com, the governor, Brian Kemp, who has been under scrutiny by many Republicans lately, and rightfully so because of his lack of action on some of this stuff, said that he wants a signature audit of all the presidential election ballots after the video surfaced. So he's calling for it. Now, the problem is, though, is that it's not the governor's decision to make on that one. It is the Secretary of State's office. and the Secretary of State of Georgia that needs to make that. So that was Governor Brian Kemp saying that he has advocated for an audit, a good signature audit of all the ballots, and it's not happening yet because it is the Secretary of State's office that needs to make that happen. So that's one bit of news. At least Georgia's trying to look into it. They're working on it. They're recognizing it. People are beginning to wake up with what's actually going on. So if you still are a denier that there's any fraud going on, then you're just foolish. Whether it's enough or not to change the election, that's a discussion that we can actually have. Alex Newman coming up on the show on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program.
Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Well, I guess it was bound to happen. It hasn't happened as of yet until just now, literally about 30 seconds before we came back on the air. We got censored by the big tech social media. What? I know. Welcome back into the program, radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, wherever you may be across the nation, as we have downloads all over the place. We are on radio stations all over the place. We are on TV stations growing each and every day. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Social media at Hooser Reason, on the website at HooserReason.com. We appreciate you more and more every day. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Why? Because this is an extremely short show, and there's so much information to get to. So over the break, throughout the day today, I've been posting things regarding the election and some of the voter fraud information, just posting saying, hey, here's information. And so far, I haven't been hit too terribly hard with the censorship, other than just not a whole lot of people seeing it, so I guess being the shadow banned. So we posted a couple stories today. One of them was the press release coming out of the Arizona State Legislature that said that the legislature is calling for an audit in one of the counties because of the software of the Dominion system, and they are calling for a third-party independent audit of the Dominion servers in that area. So that was great, and that got posted. Then I posted the one saying that in Georgia, after the governor's hearing, or after the legislature's hearings yesterday in Georgia, that the governor of Georgia is calling for a signature audit after the video was shown of them pulling out the boxes and the suitcases or whatever of the mail-in or the ballots that were under the table. Now, it's not saying whether the video was legit or that it was accurate, that it was proving voter fraud. The story said was that the governor is calling for signature audits. Well, over the break, I just got the message on Facebook saying that this has been checked by independent fact checkers and it's false information, and we're blocking that post. So there you go. So if you find it, then try and share it out, I guess, if you can. I don't know if you can now or not, because it's been verified by independent fact checkers. Don't you love 2020? It just gets better and better. I'm excited about our next guest. Let's talk about some of the information going on with the latest voter fraud investigations across the nation. He is the CEO of Liberty Sentinel Media. He's also one of the senior editors at the New American magazine. I'm excited to have on the program with us here Mr. Alex Newman with us. Alex, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Andy.
Hey, well, I appreciate you very much. Now, independent fact checkers just blocked what we tried. Just saying that the governor's calling for an audit of signature ballots. Is that a false statement? Does that need to be banned by social media because of their independent fact checkers? Come on.
Yeah, it's really gotten out of control with Facebook and Twitter and some of these others. I actually just got out today from Facebook jail the day of the election. I started posting about the obvious election fraud. I mean, anybody who wasn't living under a rock could easily see that we were being defrauded. out of this election. I mean, it was very, very clear by the morning after the election that they were cheating on a massive national scale. I started posting about that, and boom, Facebook jail for 30 days. They're fact checkers at this point. I mean, they're worse than the fake media. I mean, they're like in CNN territory now. And we've actually debunked many of these fact checkers, and in a few cases, we've actually had them reverse their silly decisions. But this kind of stuff is going to accelerate. They realize that they can't steal the election, they can't destroy our country, they can't steal our freedoms unless they can control the narrative. And so the censorship, I expect, is going to keep accelerating. But I think at this point, normal people, when they see these fake fact checks appearing on Facebook or other places, they already instinctively know that these are fraudulent. So we are winning the battle for the hearts and minds of the American people. I think the establishment has already lost control of the narrative. But these people won't give up easily. That we can be sure of.
Well, that's very true. But that's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, are we winning this battle, not only with the actual investigations and the court cases and Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood and Rudy Giuliani taking these cases to the Supreme Court, to the state legislatures across the nation? Are we winning there? But also, are we winning when it comes to the mindset of the American people? I get so many people on social media that are either agreeing, you're either all for it, like, yeah, it's happening, or you guys are completely delusional, you're conspiracy theorists, you're nut jobs, and you just need to get over it. Are we winning over enough people that if we do end up overturning the election and proving that it was fraudulent, that they believe it, they take it and understand it, as opposed to saying Donald Trump's a crazy tyrant that just stole the election?
Yeah, I think the battle for the hearts and minds of the American people has already been won. In fact, I think that became clear in 2016. You had every one of the big media outlets, with the possible exception of Fox News, constantly demonizing Donald Trump. And what happened, the American people went out there in massive numbers, overcame the vote fraud that Hillary Clinton and the establishment tried to use, and elected Donald Trump. If you look at their fake polls right now, they're already showing that half of Americans recognize this election was rigged. And let's be generous. Let's say they're using the same kind of methodology that they used to tell us Hillary Clinton was going to destroy Donald Trump in a historic landslide. Let's say we're probably dealing with 60 to 70% of the American people now recognize this election was rigged. I would assume that many of the ones who claim not to recognize it was rigged do recognize that. They do realize that. They just, for political purposes, they've been whipped into such a hysteria. They're like frothing with hate about Donald Trump that they just pretend not to see it. But, I mean, they're just behaving like ostriches. So I think there is a very good possibility that this battle will be successful, that Donald Trump will serve another 4 years in the White House. But we need to understand as well, and they've already war-gamed this out. The Transition Integrity Project did war games on this even before the election, which is how I was able to predict exactly what was coming. I don't have any kind of crystal ball. They said if Donald Trump manages to get back into the White House, and I think that's going to happen, they're going to send their terror mobs out into the streets. We'll see Pantifas running around, lighting fires and throwing Molotov cocktails and hitting police officers with baseball bats. We'll see the Marxists, led by self-proclaimed, highly trained Marxists, the Black Lives Matter movement, running around terrorizing, especially black people and inner cities, burning black-owned businesses. We'll see a whole lot more of that. And if you live in a red state, you probably won't have quite as tough a time. However, if you live in a blue state with a Democrat governor and a Democrat mayor, God help you, because unless Donald Trump steps in, I think it's going to be a very, very tough time in some of these liberal Democrat-controlled cities.
I think you're absolutely right. I am very concerned about when he does end up proving the voter fraud, and we show exactly the evidence that there are some on that side that are just going to get violent. They've already threatened to do so, and I'm worried about what's going to be some of that reaction once that decision is actually made. We're talking with Alex Newman, CEO of Liberty Sentinel Media, also part of the Red Pill University. I love that as well. I mean, how many politicians do you think are going to stand strong and stand with President Trump, especially on the Republican side? We see Mitt Romney already coming out, which he's never been a big fan of Trump anyways, but he did come out and said that he is the great human tragedy. And there are some Republicans that are starting to actually back off a little bit from Trump. And you see, even the leadership in Congress that are just coming out and saying that Trump just needs to stop what he's doing and just accept it because it's going to harm the runoff race down in Georgia. I mean, are there enough politicians to have a backbone to use the political capital that they have and say, you know what's going on is not right and we need to get to the bottom of this?
Yeah, I think at this point, the tsunami of evidence that's coming out about the election fraud is going to be unstoppable. I mean, to see these propagandists posing as journalists sitting on television and saying, there's no evidence of voter fraud. I mean, they remind me of Baghdad Bob. You know, U.S. troops and American tanks and American planes were blowing stuff up behind him, and he's saying, oh, we are defeating the evil armies of the American. I mean, it looks absolutely ridiculous. And there is going to be, I think, a sorting of the wheat from the chaff here. The establishment rhinos, and we've known about this. I mean, anybody who's really paying attention would have known about this long before the 2016 election. But this became very, very clear in the 2016 election. There are really two factions within the Republican Party. There is the globalist, establishment, deep state, liberal faction, and Mitt Romney is very much a part of that. And then there are the true conservatives, who may not agree with Donald Trump on everything, but they love their country, they love God, they love their family, they support faith and freedom and the U.S. Constitution. And those factions are becoming very clear. The establishment Republicans, I think rhinos is really the perfect term for them. They are Republicans in name only.
Sure.
They don't agree with the party platform. They hate the conservative grassroots, and they hate Donald Trump even more because he exposed them all. So I think the rhinos, they're making clear who they are right now as we speak, and I think they're going to pay a very significant political penalty once we get the election fraud sorted out, we get rid of these fraudulent machines, and we have legitimate elections.
I think we're already doing that. I think we have over the last 4 years. I mean, we saw Jeff Flake out of Arizona disappear. We saw a lot of the anti-Trump Republicans disappear over the last couple of years in Congress and in the Senate because they completely lost support. People started to realize that they weren't part of the conservative movement or the opportunity that Trump was providing. They were just there to have that nice, cozy seat in Washington, D.C., and I think that exposed them quite a bit. I mean, whether that was the intent of Trump or not, he did a great job exposing some of the establishment, deep state, whatever you want to call them, on the grand scale, trying to control things and just wanting to ride the boat of luxury, I guess, out in Washington, D.C. The big question is, we got a few minutes, about a minute and a half left here. Do we have enough evidence? Do you think that the governments, the state legislatures, the Supreme Court, will they actually take a look at this and will they do it? Or are we just banging our head against the wall? Because if you listen to even 5 minutes of the media, they're saying that it's just dropping left and right and that we have some, but not enough to overturn anything.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to turn off their televisions. As far as I'm concerned, it's just psychological warfare against the American people. It's ridiculous, and I include Fox News in that very much. There are multiple routes for the president to retain his position as president for the next 4 years. Right the very day after the election, I started talking to state legislators in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan. There are now several well-organized and potentially successful efforts to send Trump electors to the Electoral College. There are efforts to disqualify the delegates from the states that were so obviously stolen, very much including Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, maybe even New Mexico and Virginia. The Supreme Court, of course, could step in. And in an absolute emergency, you have now some very serious people like General McInerney, three-star general, one of the top officials in the Air Force for many, many years, saying that if it comes down to it, Trump may have to invoke the Insurrection Act and we'll have a new election. But under no circumstances should the American people accept a fraudulent election. If we accept a fraudulent election, we may never get a legitimate one again. So the stakes are high, but I'm still optimistic.
Amen to that. Alex Newman, Liberty Sentinel. Check them out, libertysentinel.org. You can find them online. Also, the new American magazine as well. And Alex, it's great to have you on the show, my friend. Let's do this again real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Andy.
Hey, appreciate it very much. One more segment coming up here on The Voice of Reason. We'll wrap everything up on a nice little bow for a Friday. Stay here.
Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out today, wherever you may be. Heck of a lineup for guests today, wasn't it? We had some great perspectives, I guess, on some of the issues with Kathy Barnette, also with Alex Newman on the show, so thanks for both of them coming on. We'll get both of them on again here real soon to give another update when it comes to this stuff. Again, if you don't believe, and there's a difference between not believing in any voter fraud happening at all and just not believing that it's enough to overturn the election. I can argue or debate or dialogue with individuals that are like, yeah, there's some voter fraud going on, obviously, but it's just not enough to overturn the election. If you want to have that dialogue, let's do it. But right now, I mean, with everything that's coming out, the overwhelming evidence, which isn't it sad that right now we have to have so much overwhelming evidence that they barely just take a look and be like, something's a little fishy, but I don't really know. I mean, you would think that just a little bit would be like, wait a second, what's going on here? Can we fix this? Can we figure out what's going on? We need to figure this out. But instead, it's got to be so overwhelming, smack in the face. Here it is, you not so bright individuals, that they finally are like, well, I guess we should look at something. And that's the way the system is. That's the way the system works today. And it's a little bit frustrating, isn't it? I mean, now we have the governor of Georgia saying that he wants a signature audit in the state. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know, because again, that has to go through the Secretary of State's office in Georgia. So we'll see if it does. Pennsylvania doesn't look like they're going to. It should, because there's massive amounts of fraud there. But with a Democrat Secretary of State and a Democrat governor, I don't really know. Not going to get a whole lot done there. Then we have Arizona, where the state legislature has called for an independent third-party audit of the Dominion system in the state or in certain counties. So that's good. At least we have something going on there. Maybe we can figure it out. And I guarantee you, if one of them falls, the rest will fall. That's the good news here. The positive note to go out on a weekend right now is that if one of these falls, if they do the audit in the Dominion system and the Dominion system comes back as fraudulent and they realize that it was rigged, they realize that it was hacked, they realize that there was shenanigans going on with the system, with people logging into it, with backlogging information, all that stuff should be dialogued on there. If they find that on just in one county, let's say the one in Arizona comes through, then guess what? It validates every other claim for the rest of the nation that use the Dominion systems in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, and in Georgia. It'll validate all of them. Because when you hear things like this...
My phone that I have an iPhone, or something happens with my Apple computer where I need additional assistance with that. I call up Apple and I say, this is what's happening. And they say, do I have permission to take over your computer? And of course, I give them the permission to do that because I want it fixed. That was the exact same thing. I had to give them permission to take over my poll pad so that they could reprogram it from Adams Park to SSO2 A and B, which is at West Spalding Drive Elementary.
That is so crazy. That is so crazy for the heads of Dominion to come out and say, no, it's not connected to the internet. No, it's not going to be hacked. And no, it's completely secure. No, it's completely safe. You don't have to worry about our systems. What they're saying about Venezuela is completely bogus. With the servers that we apprehended with the Department of Justice and the U.S. Army out of Spain and out of Germany, no, that's completely bogus. No, everything's fine. Don't worry about a thing. And yet, if you have people in Denver, Colorado with the support team jumping into a system of a machine in Georgia at a precinct to fix an issue and asking, do I have permission to get in there and fix it? It's like, yeah, you got to go ahead and go do that. If they're logging in, then it's activated by the internet in some way, shape, or form. We do not have the technology yet for telepathy for them to log into a mechanical machine and fix it without it being connected to the internet. I'm just throwing it out there. But instead of looking at that, instead of the mainstream media or even Fox News saying, wait a second, that's a little shady, that's a little strange, a little wonky here. Instead of saying that, they come out with this story like the Yahoo News, because they're a bunch of Yahoos for sure. Decline and fall, what Donald Trump can learn from Roman emperors. Because the Roman emperors, who didn't want to lose power, that ended up turning it from a republic into an empire because they wanted to be an emperor who refused to leave office and refused to actually give up their powers when they're, if you don't know Roman history, during times of war, the republic would assign a military general to be the quote-unquote emperor at that time to delegate military operations and kind of run the country while they were in war. And when they realized they didn't want to lose that war or didn't lose that ability, then they ended up just staying emperor, and they continuously stayed in wars. And now, apparently, they don't understand history because I don't know about you or not, but Donald Trump did not start any wars. He actually got us out of many foreign conflicts, and he's not trying to stay in power. He's trying to make sure an election was cast properly and legitimately. But their lack of historical knowledge comes back, and Donald Trump should learn some about Roman emperors who were just desperate to stay in power, because that's all he's trying to do. He's just a tyrant wanting to stay in power and not give up his reign of authority in the nation. Absolutely sickening. Podcast going up a little bit. That does it for us today. Make sure for you to be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Back at it next week with a laundry list of awesome guests right here on The Voice of Reason. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.